Hello and welcome back to Live from Paris. It's time now for all the business news with Matthew Warren. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
So we're going to start off right here in France. It's a long-running saga. It's still going. That steel plant in the north of the country.
Yes,
tell us more.
That's right. The steel plant owned by ArcelorMittal. Long-running saga, as you say. And we always think that it might just be over. The deal was done last week to save over 600 jobs. And part of that agreement involved using the site for a pilot project to produce steel in an environmentally friendly way. It's called ULCOS, this project. Well, on Thursday, it appeared that the deal might be unravelling all over again after there were fresh doubts about the company's commitment to this green steel project.
High hopes dashed in a day. The ULCOS project was supposed to save the Florange steel plant in northeastern France. That's what France's Prime Minister told the unions and then the nation on Wednesday.
There will be an investment for the future which is based on new energy techniques. That's the ULCOS project.
ULCOS, or ultra-low CO2 steelmaking, is a cleaner way of producing the alloy, reducing some of its byproducts. The French state and the site's owner, ArcelorMittal, were supposed to collaborate in a bid to run an EU-backed project. But ArcelorMittal announced Thursday it was backing out, saying the current state of research didn't justify going any further, a turnaround that left the unions furious.
We don't believe it anymore. If the ULCOS project isn't done, even in its first phase in 6 years, our blast furnaces will be completely degraded. That will be the end of the blast furnaces and the end of our industry.
With his government's credibility on the line now, the French President François Hollande has made it his personal responsibility to see the ULCOS project through.
All the commitments that were made will be kept, including the commitments that were made that will allow the ULCOS project to see the light of day. On a European level, we will go through with that. I promise you that.
ArcelorMittal's decision is all the more surprising given indications from Brussels that the bid would be successful. The EU would then have invested €260 million in Florange. The government and the steelmaker have already promised a new ULCOS 2 project is in the works, but that won't be ready till 2013.
Well, ArcelorMittal is saying that it's not abandoning this permanently. It's just saying that it can't pursue the project currently for technical reasons. But this decision raises fears that perhaps these furnaces are going to rest idle for too long, which will mean they will have to be closed permanently. We'll keep an eye on it.
We certainly will. But moving on to the markets, how are they looking this Friday?
OK, European markets just opening this Friday, and they're opening up. And markets in Asia, I can give you as well, were mixed in Friday's trading session. Take a look at the market in Shanghai. That did pretty well. A lot of Chinese data due out over the weekend on the economy. Investors there feeling optimistic that the economy has stabilised to some extent.
OK, well, staying here in Europe, a downgrade of growth prospects for Germany.
Yes. Now, on Thursday, we heard from the European Central Bank that it was downgrading what it expects the Eurozone economy to do next year, in fact, shrinking slightly. Germany, it's the Bundesbank, has done the same thing this Friday morning. As you can see, they're downgrading forecast. It thought 1.6% growth next year. Now it says just 0.4% growth. OK,
well, bad news. But the markets in the US, meanwhile, will be keen to look at the latest jobs data coming out.
Yes, now this will have a big effect on all markets around the world. They'll be very keen to see what's happening with jobs. The job figures in the US down to just below 8%. This is the unemployment figure. And it's very unclear, though, what's going to happen with the November data, because, of course, there was that Superstorm Sandy at the start of the month. Now, the impact that has is that it shut down large parts of the economy in the northeast of the country. What effect did that have on job creation? These job numbers will tell us later this Friday.
We will see. But the other big issue in America at the moment is, of course, the fiscal cliff. We keep mentioning it in the run-up to New Year.
Yes, rarely a day goes by without us talking about the package of tax rises and spending cuts that will kick in January unless a deal is done on the budget there. And the effects of the fiscal cliff are potentially it could send the US back into recession. Well, this report from our correspondent over in the US looks at what the effects of the fiscal cliff could be on small businesses.
This farmer's stand in southern Florida has been a local institution since the 1960s, but the owners have never been this scared of Washington. Their fear, the fiscal cliff, a combination of spending cuts and tax hikes that take effect January 1st without a deal on deficit reduction.
It's too scary to be a reality. It seems to make no sense at all why you would cripple a small business.
Brandon Moling has done the math. His income taxes would go up $2,000 if the United States goes over the fiscal cliff. He'll lose more once his customers and brokers feel the pinch.
We buy from brokers, from small businesses, from small farmers, and their prices have gone up, so it drives everything up. So if I got to pay more per box per corn, I got to pay more per, I got to charge more.
These tax increases would lower the spending power of consumers, but the fiscal cliff would mean a double whammy for the economy as the government cuts back its spending too.
The average kind of incomes, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, those people pretty much spend the large majority of what they make. So if they make less money, they're going to spend less. They spend less, we collect less in taxes. So the effect is huge.
The IMF predicts a recession awaits the United States on the other side of the fiscal cliff. That could mean some job cuts at the Moling family farm.
Well, Matthew, we're going to stay in the US because you've got a story about the danger of companies using social media.
Yes, because many companies are very active on social media networks like Twitter, like Facebook. But here's a cautionary tale. Lorna, Netflix is an online video company. Now, it wrote a Facebook post in July saying that its online viewing numbers had exceeded 1 billion hours for the first time ever. Well, seems like that's just a piece of information, but the Securities and Exchange Commission, they police really what goes on with American companies. They said that posting on Facebook is not fair public disclosure, and they're recommending civil action against the company. Now, Netflix is saying that they have 200,000 followers, so they felt that they were disseminating this information fairly widely. But it is indeed a cautionary tale about what you share on these social media networks.
Wow, yes. So normally it's widely encouraged, isn't it, for companies to get happy with social media, but clearly not in this case. Now, a huge project to pipe gas from Russia to Europe is going to be launched officially this Friday.
Yes, a €16.5 billion project, and it's being led by the Russian energy giant Gazprom. Here's more on this from Siobhan Silk.
Russia wants to cut out the middleman. On Friday, President Vladimir Putin will launch construction on the South Stream gas pipeline. Running under the Black Sea into the Balkans, it will allow Russia to export fuel directly to Europe while skipping over its neighbour Ukraine. Russian energy giant Gazprom is building the project with Italy's Eni, France's EDF and Germany's Wintershall. Ukraine and Russia have long been at loggerheads over gas exports. Russia and its customers in the EU especially want to avoid a repeat of the winter of 2009. Western Europe was cut off from Russian gas for 2 weeks during a row between Kiev and Moscow over gas prices. Russia currently provides a quarter of the EU's gas needs. Meanwhile, Ukraine has been attempting to lessen its reliance on Russian gas, but this week the government was embarrassed when a supposed billion-dollar deal with a Spanish energy company to build a gas terminal on the Black Sea proved to be non-existent. The man claiming to represent the company was an imposter.
Siobhan Silk there. And just time to bring you some breaking news coming into us from Japan this Friday morning, where there has been a strong earthquake felt in the capital, Tokyo, and a tsunami alert has been issued in Japan after that quake. The US Geographical Survey saying that quake measures 7.4 magnitude and it struck off the east coast of Japan. We will, of course, bring you all the latest on that as we get more news in. Claire Murphy will be here with all the headlines and lots more for you right after the international weather next.